should work now. Alright, now this 1080p 60 frames per second. Yeah, HD 60 frame. Good. Now I wonder if I'm going to drop many frames. Alright, monitor only mute output. So I should be able to hear myself. But the stream can't. Okay, yeah. Okay. Now I need to get my... Yes. I keep hearing too much feedback from my mouse and my keyboard. My application had to update while I was testing. So I need to get rid of that. Good, now I can actually think. My voice sounds fine. Your device has been updated to the latest version. Thank you. I'm so glad. Big translation. Okay. Alright. Seems smooth on the YouTube playback, so that's nice to see. But if I put like an intensive site like Windy or something, it might lag a little bit too much. So far it looks pretty good. So far 0 drop frames, 60 frames per second. Alright. Instead of using a Word document, let's try to do something a little bit more intensive here. Alright, I don't know why I love putting my cursor right next to where I'm typing so I can't. I know I do a lot of tests lately, but I want to see if I would be able to do 1080p 60 frames. It may be a little bit too much. Oh, it says 0 drop frames, so that's good for right now. As you can see, this is where all the snow came from, that massive Arctic outbreak that pretty much got down to Florida. As you can see the cold air coming off the the land right on the Gulf Stream here. As you can see, this little banding coming off the land and all of these clouds right here. You can see them even in the Gulf Stream area here. The Gulf Stream is pretty much right here. As you can see, the convective activity right here. This must be where the Gulf Stream is, right around this general area where my cursor is. That must be the warm Gulf Stream causing convective activity here, while the air is a little bit colder here, so the air is a little bit more stable. This is stable to more unstable there, as you can see right here. So still saying 0 drops frames on my OBS studio, so that's pretty good. I still have to figure out a way how I can be able to test my mic volume to my music volume without having to, you know, play, always capturing the audio. I know there's ways to do that, but I'm gonna have to play around with it. Like I don't want to capture my whole entire desktop audio. I want to just capture one thing, not the whole thing, and that's going to require me to do a little bit of research. As you can see, there's a lot of snow all the way up in North Dakota, with North Dakota, Michigan, Wisconsin, and there's a big, huge lake effect snowbank off Lake Erie right now. Everywhere is pretty much cold, I would believe so. Let's see. Temperature. Uh, yep. I'm trying to see some of these isobars here. 30 degrees in this area. So the basics 30 degrees all the way down to even northern Florida. It's 50 degrees down here in California here. -10 in this area. 30, 35, 25. Yeah, so you get the idea. There was a big Arctic front that came in the last several days, creating havoc almost everywhere in the United States, even in Oklahoma and Kansas, even some places in Texas. It was a pretty historic and interesting event that I followed. And I was actually seeing this happen like about a week or two in advance. I was seeing this was possibly was supposed to happen. Okay, so far as of right now, it says 0 drop frames, 1080p 60 frames. So everything seems to be running rather decently. So I guess this test isn't really a test because it seems like it's working fine. Well, let's get my get my mouse pad on a flat surface. Yes, I know how to use Tropical Tidbits. The only reason why you're saying that is because this is a guest browser. That's why. Hmm. Did I do? Oh, I see what it's doing. I was clicking on something here, but it wasn't showing up on the stream because it's not part of the window. It's like a pop-up overlay. Okay, that makes sense. Alright, so if you've been following me on Facebook or yeah, if you were following me on Facebook, you would know that there's going to be cold air today and tomorrow and pretty much all of next week, and then we're going to have a storm system developing by New Year's Eve in the form of rain. I know a lot of people probably don't know I have a Facebook page, but if you do and you're watching, yes, I have. Yes, it's supposed to be a cold week next week, followed by a nice warm up by, let's say, Thursday, Friday, into New Year's Eve, and even New Year's Day in the form of a storm that will give us rain in the beginning of the year. Let's take a look at that. Because now we know it's cold front has passed. It's going to be cold for the next several days. The next thing that I want to do here, which I just opened up the wrong window. Okay, I don't need this open right now because that's just duplicates. Okay, so first, yeah, let's refresh this page here. So this say goodbye to this storm here. It's gonna just spin out and dry up and basically shoot up into Canada. So we don't have to worry about that storm for the rest of its duration. There is a clipper system that I thought was going to give us snow on Tuesday, but it almost looks like it just falls apart. And we're just pretty much just going to be in the cold. There's that high Bermuda high pressure system, which is much needed warm up for next week, like I said on the Thursday. This is going to bring some nice air into us, probably 40s and 50s for a high, instead of being only 12 degrees right now, which is pretty atrocious. This is our next storm system right here as this Bermuda High picks up moisture from the Gulf Stream here. And there must be there's a lot of moisture over here that's going to dig down into here, pick up the moisture here. So our next chance of precipitation is going to fall somewhere around New Year's Day, really. Not as big of a bomb cyclone like it was yesterday, but this is our next chance of precipitation, which I have been tracking for a little while. That's going to be affecting us on Sunday, January 1st, and then that moves out, and it looks like high pressure wants to build back in. This is a new model which I have not looked at before I wanted to do a test. Ooh, big, huge high pressure, 1050 right there. Now this is all just just looking at the model, seeing what it's doing right now. Not really much going on here. The only thing I'm certain about is that this is supposed to be some type of storm January 1st. The details are very uncertain, but we do know we're going to have some type of Bermuda high that's going to be warming us up towards New Year's. Depending on what's going on around this high, we're going to have some type of precipitation around it, I would think. You can kind of see how the Bermuda high right here has been pretty much consistent throughout the model runs. It's just the idea of where this low or precipitation is going to set up. Now, there's different scenarios of what's going to happen on this storm right here. See that's Bermuda high forming there? The Canadian wants there to be a storm system on the 31st that's going to hit us on the 31st, and then there's like another wave of energy even behind it. This is more of a messier trend right here, meaning there's going to be like 4 days of unsettled weather here. Not quite sure what the Canadians trying to do here, but this is like a multi-day unsettled event here. Interesting. So recap, this storm is going to be just giving Lake effect snow and pretty miserable weather in the Great Lakes region, and the only thing we have to worry about in the Northeast is just pretty much cold weather until sometime Wednesday, Thursday, when it'll be near a high pressure system off to Carolina. Finally brings up much needed warm up, but it's not going to be all sunshine and beautiful weather. It's going to be chances of precipitation. Definitely toward New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. The ideas are still up in the air what's going to happen, but it doesn't really look all that well. That little clipper system just falls apart right into high pressure. High pressure pretty much in control, like I said before. Then there's a storm that's going to be brewing by New Year's Eve. Depending on what's going to happen, I'm pretty sure in the Northeast, I don't think New Year's Eve to New Year's Day celebration is going to be a disaster quite yet. I checked the icon, I checked that, I checked this. Let's see what the Euro is saying. So far, I have zero drop frames in the last 16 minutes, doing 1080p 30, so 1080p 60. What am I talking about? So that Clipper system basically just falls apart, so we don't have to worry about that. So it's going to be windy and cold today and tomorrow, possibly a little bit on Monday, but almost looks like it starts to get more calm by Monday. High pressure finally starts building into the region by Tuesday, Wednesday, starts warming up Wednesday into Thursday. There's that storm system that's gonna start blowing up around Texas and Louisiana, so we have to track this. It looks like what I can see is gonna be, I think, Saturday night into Sunday. There's gonna be a band of heavy rain from that high pressure system, bringing up that moisture along the Gulf Stream and that low pressure system there. And it looks like, even though that front moves through, it still looks like there's a lot of energy around this high here. So it looks like the beginning of next year looks to be warm and a bit unsettled here after the cold blast occurs first. So we flip the calendar and we go from a frigid air mass to an unsettled warmer air mass. So this is definitely not going to feel like winter in the beginning of the year. Interesting. You can see how all this warm air from that high pressure system is pushing the warm air way up into Canada. Way different than what it's doing right now. But pretty much cold air until Wednesday. I think Wednesday starts this warming trend and unsettled weather here. Tons of moisture off the Gulf of Mexico shooting up the southeast. So it looks like much needed warmth. Temperatures in the 50s for New Year's Day. That's going to be very welcomed. Not like you can do anything the next 2 days. It's like really is it worth going out with 12-degree weather with gusts up to 30 miles per hour? I don't think so. So far, that's a good test because my OBS studio still says zero drop frames for the last 20 minutes. I know I'm not doing intensive websites here, but it's still good to see that I can still do this. I sometimes underestimate my new machine that I bought like 2 years ago. Alright. So, I hope you guys enjoy your Christmas under the blankets, being nice and warm because it's not going to be very good conditions to be out the next 2 days. I mean, tomorrow is going to be all right, but 25 degrees and still gusts up to 30 miles per hour ain't ideal. Monday, we try to get out of the low 30s and 20s, but it's still going to fall short. And winds are going to be only 5 to 10 miles per hour, so it's not going to be bad Monday. I mean, Monday's at least going to be somewhat decent. See, it's going to be so windy on Christmas Day, like 10 to 15 miles per hour, still gusts 20, 30 at times. But at least Monday, high pressure starts to diminish the wind, so being 29, 30 degrees with light winds and possible sunshine, it couldn't be all that bad. Yeah, so mostly sunny skies Monday, so it's getting there. Let's see what else I want to look at. Temperatures don't drop off that much on Tuesday. Tuesday, we finally get out of the 20s and 30s, low 30s. Finally get to 35, 36 degrees, depending on what the TFS says. Finally get to 40 on Wednesday. That will be a blessing. There we are. The warm air from Bermuda High finally pushing in that warm air. Nice. Only if the 70-degree weather over here would push into our region on the first, but it's not going to happen. But that's still very nice weather. 60 degrees on January 1st into 2nd from that low low. But still, it doesn't cool down all that much. Still pretty decent. Okay. Still zero drop frames, so this is pretty good. Can I? I think anyone in this Lake Effect snow band right here is not having a very good Christmas Eve here. This band has been pretty much very steady and intense since yesterday when the cold air started blowing through this lake here. I think the wind is what's happening here is the wind is blowing pretty much all the way down the lake. So at the other end, that cold air is lifting so much of that moisture up. It's like a freaking fire hose right on this Buffalo area right here. So getting 3 to 4 feet of snow with wind drips, I'm pretty sure it's very miserable for people down this area right here. It's not just Buffalo. I think there's some banding off Lake Michigan. I think, yeah. So anywhere in this Great Lake region over here, they aren't having any fun. We got some banding off this lake, banding off this lake, banding off this lake as well too, and it's not fun being up there. Being in New England yesterday was awesome because it was 55 degrees, and the only thing we had is a few small little flurries yesterday night before it was done, so I can't complain. So far in New England, right here, at least in Massachusetts, we are dealing with sunny but very cold conditions, and that's going to be. I think the sun is going to slowly fade out towards the end of the day as these clouds from the hills are going to start filtering the sun. But I think tomorrow is supposed to be mostly sunny. Though I thought today was supposed to be partly sunny, but it's more sunny than I thought it was supposed to be today. Because I thought all these leeway clouds are just gonna just fill in the sky, but since it's 12:46 right now, the sun is only really up 4 more hours. It's definitely more sunny than I thought it was supposed to be, but it is really dry, so I'm not really surprised. That ban is not very helpful. So that is pretty good that I can do live stream at 1080p 60 frames. There seems to be no issues today, so. But then again, I am only doing basically basic websites here. But what happened if I were to do this? This might stutter my stream a little bit. I really hope it doesn't, but see why I'm telling you that this so bad lake effect in Buffalo? Because the winds are coming, entering the lake this way, traveling all the way across the duration of the lake, and blowing out the other side. I'm not too sure why this lake ain't really going very. I think it's because it's going a shorter distance here. The wind is not picking up enough moisture before it moves off the lake, but this one's going all the way across the lake. Now, if I go down here, I think it says sea temperature. So the lakes right now are about 40 degrees, so 40 degree lake temperature and what's the temperature up above? Like 1, 5? That's why you're having a big, huge lake effect event here, because you have temperatures, water temperatures 40 degrees, and you have the temperature being about 10. That's a 30-degree difference. So, of course, you're going to have bad lake effects. Going right across the lake right there. Actually, it looks like it is actually going. See where this banding stops? It goes across this lake here, and it shoots right up to Ottawa, Canada. You can see some of the banding there. Oh, look at this band here. Ah, there's a banding off this lake right here, you can see. Never noticed that. That's a pretty intense band right there. I think that's because the cold air from the leftover low right here is pushing even colder air down this lake and forcing it. I think this is probably from the low pressure system. Yep. So this low is bringing cold air and forcing it up because this is like the warm front right here from this low here. So that's why there's a big band here. Yep, the cold air is coming down here and forcing air up. Interesting. I don't want millimeters an hour. There it is, inches an hour. So in some of these bands, they're getting about an inch an hour because they say it's like 10 to 1 liquid ratio. I'm pretty sure it's really cold here. So 10 to 1 means 10 inches of snow for an inch of snow. So point 10 is basically would be about an inch. So this is about an inch or maybe even 2 an hour in this band. Wow, that would probably say they anywhere in this area right here. It's pretty miserable. Let's see the temperatures here. Uh, so if you hit temperatures here, the temperature in this area is about 25 degrees. So in that type of temperature there, I would think 15 to 1 ratios for an inch of rain. So I would say this would be about 2 or 3 inches an hour on that band. Right off Lake Erie right here, when it's 12 degrees, it's even colder, it seems like. So I wouldn't be surprised seeing 3 to 4 inches an hour off this span right here. Definitely, the last time I knew there was a big lake effect snow ban was in 2014, somewhere around November. I remember reading articles when I was first starting QCC in Worcester. I remember seeing videos and articles about lake effect snow that I never knew really existed because I didn't even go to UMass Lowell back in the day, and they had a bad event in 2014. Seems like this is happening once again here. Like, look at these. The most intense bands are saying about tenth of an inch per hour. So put that in perspective. Tenth of an inch is like an inch an hour, but then since it's so cold, it's probably 1.5 to 2 inches an hour. Since it's so 10 degrees. So I wouldn't be surprised seeing 2 to 3 inches an hour bands off Buffalo right there. Well, this has been a good test. I'm basically just trying to reinforce and use my skills, trying to remember. It's been 2 years since I graduated UMass Lowell, so I'm trying to keep my skills alive here. As you can see, there seems to be a band right off the coast of Rhode Island and southeast Mass right now, along the Cape and the Islands. I think the cold air is going over this area right here. And just like the lakes, remember what I told you? The air is going up here, picking up the moisture, and it gotten high enough to condensate. So this area right here is seeing not as much, only 0.2, 0.4, 0.5. It's only really seeing about like a half an inch of snow per hour. What's the temperature in this region? So it's really cold in this region, yeah, so might be seeing about less than an inch an hour off this band here. How warm is the water in the Gulf there, New York? Ah, yeah, 44, 45, 45, 47, 48. Yeah, and then you get into the Gulf Stream here where it's 60 degrees. You can see this banding right off Long Island right here. And you probably can see it from the satellite imagery. See all this banding here? These little streaks. Interesting. Yeah, so the air is stable here and then it gets unstable as it gets farther out because I think what's happening here is that cold air is starting to moderate and it's starting to get unstable as it gets farther out into the water here as the air starts to, warm up. But with all the air that's being forced up because the air is so cold, it's causing these convective cells here. I think I was seeing that. Oops. See, you see holes in here because the air is starting to sink back down towards the surface there, so the air is trying to dry out a little bit. It's like little waves of up and down motion here. I think I read online is that these areas right here where there's open cells, I think it's raining more in this little area here than it is here. As the air is sinking and raining out. I think that's what I read on NOAA. It's just fascinating. It's one of the fascinating things about weather is like, look at this. Look all the streaks here, all the streaks here. You can see where the warm air and the convective activity is from these clouds right here. Just a massive blow that formed. That's one huge massive blow. It's like picking the air up from even the Caribbean, pushing it all the way up this storm here. Wow, it's just fascinating. Oh, I can see that from this little test here, even using Windy.com, which is a very intensive website. My OBS studio says zero drop frame, so this has been a perfect test here. So I may stick with 1080p 60 frames for my weather live streams here, since it seems like my system can handle it. But when I'm playing games, I'm probably going to still have to stick with 720p 30 frames a second so I can at least sustain playable frame rates while I'm playing games. But very good test. So let's just wrap up this live stream because I'm gonna have to have some lunch. Let's go in this Word document here. And test. What was this first? Cold weather for the Christmas weekend, cold stays with us until Wednesday when we finally get out of the twenties to low thirties. Ah, Dan, a very welcoming warm up really the the details are a little all over the place, but I see a what pattern coming around the what is the 31st? Yeah. I'm gonna say the third. Somewhere around that zone, I think we're gonna be getting into a warm, potential wet pattern. That's pretty much what I said for the forecast before I started playing around with stuff. Wasn't really a structured or scripted live stream. Just was a playing around type of test here. Now that I know that my OBS studio says zero drop frames, which pretty much means that everything was nice and smooth. It's 1080p 60 frames. Everything went very well. Alright. That was a good test, so take care.